All right, it's time for our weekly financial forecast where we talk about what's impacting your wallet. And today we're getting answers about Bitcoin with Tim Fitzwilliams, founder and CEO of Fitzwilliams Financial. So thank you so much again for spending some time with us.
Always love to be here, Janet.
Okay, Bitcoin. What are the biggest risks? You hear people talking about it all the time.
Sure.
And most people don't know what it is.
That's true.
So talk about the risk associated with it, though.
The first thing is that Bitcoin is not an actual currency. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's a speculative type of investment, if you will. So we look at it from the standpoint of if you want to be in something high risk, it's kind of like going to Vegas, right? So you want to be cautious on how you look at it because it's not backed by anything.
Right.
It is not a currency. You will pay taxes on it through capital gains, like a lot of other assets.
Okay. And it's basically, it's like you say you have it and somebody verifies that you have it and that's how you have it. I mean, it's not like there's a bank that's backing it.
Right. But the issue becomes how it affects other things because it is an asset class. So what people don't see is that when big companies and financial institutions, if you will, are buying into Bitcoin, they may be doing it through a margin account where they're borrowing to buy more. And well, what happens is when the market drops in Bitcoin, like it just did, you gotta pay back that loan, and that's a call. So when the company says, hey, you gotta pay back what you borrowed to buy the Bitcoin, guess what? You're now selling all your stuff that you rely on, your portfolio-based stocks, your Mag 7, your blue chips, the stuff that you have. Well, then that creates a big sell-off. So now everyone who's just not in Bitcoin, but is looking at their 401k could find volatility because of this large sell-off. So that's a real danger point to it because the institutional investors will be in it, create the leverage, and get out, and then middle America's holding the bag. So
when we have downturns and recessions, and how does Bitcoin, isn't it a little bit more aggressive? It's more aggressive though, right? The downturns can be even more.
Well, it was at first thought to be a hedge on inflation. As we now see with empirical data, it's evident that if it was, then it would be moving in the same direction as gold when there's inflation, but it didn't. It moved the opposite. So it is not correlated to inflation anymore because it's not a real currency.
It's not a real currency. So for people who are thinking about dabbling into it, what's your advice?
My main advice is treat it like Vegas. Treat it as high risk, and that's fine. It's okay to have high risk investments, but it needs to be a portion. And the amount that you would be comfortable with betting on black at Vegas is the amount that you should be looking at and how much you should put into Bitcoin.
Do you worry about people just not really understanding what they're getting into?
I totally worry about that because people buy on hype. And when that happens, sometimes they get really excited and they maybe, because like the worst thing could happen if they did a margin account, like we were talking about with those financial institutions that are doing it. If the regular person does that, they could lose everything they have.
Oh, okay.
So you want to be really cautious on how deep you get into it.
Definitely. Great advice there. All right, we appreciate it. All right, the Financial Forecast, it airs every Tuesday in our 4 p.m. news. And if you have questions you want answered, email us at financialforecast@13newsnow.com.